Hey friend, it's me Vasco with a quick announcement. We at the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast are organizing this year's Scrum Master Summit. For tickets and details on the summit, check out the URL bit.ly/SM Summit 22. All one word, SMSUMMIT 22. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Success Thursday this week with Luís Silva. Hey, Luís, welcome back.
Hello again. How's everyone doing?
I hope everybody's doing good and healthy. That's what matters in the end of the day. So, Luís, today's Thursday, and of course, we're going to talk about success in a while. But before we dive into that, we do want to know, as a Scrum Master, what's your favorite retrospective format and why?
I think I'm going to surprise you with the answer. I like the simplicity of the 4Ls format. I like to keep the focus of the retrospectives on good outcomes and actionable items. I like most Scrum Masters and Agile coaches. I like to use my imagination to create new formats. And I've done retrospectives about Game of Thrones. I've used some about Dragon Ball that were created by fellow Agile coaches. I've even created one about Teletubbies. So I like, as much as the next guy, to create new formats or just adapt existing ones to other teams. I have no problem with that. However, what I always try to make sure is that I'm not trading good outcomes and good actionable items from retros for a funny format. This is what I always try to make sure. One thing I usually say is that if you don't get actionable items out of events like retrospectives, all the process that led you there may be waste. There are other things to gain. Sometimes we need to vent. Sometimes people need to talk about problems just for the sake of talking. Thing is, if you don't get actionable information, you're probably throwing all of that effort away. 90% of the time, this is what will happen if you don't get those action items in place.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Sometimes we're looking for different things, and the actionable item is to get out of the retrospective workshop with the feeling that we are closer to being a team now than we were when we came into the room. Sometimes it's about discovering what the problems are before we can even take the next step and start looking at actions. But I do agree that when we go into a retrospective, we need to understand what is the outcome we are looking for, right? And one way to get there is to design the retrospective to focus on that outcome, as you said, like the 4Ls format as an example, to bring the conversation to outcomes, meaning actionable items. But falls on us, right? Like as Scrum Masters and Agile coaches, we need to be the ones guiding the conversation, not the content of the conversation, but kind of converging into, okay, now, we've heard the multiple perspectives. We've understood there are different things we need to consider, but what do we want to solve? What is the one thing we would like to work on to make it better in the next sprint, right?
Yeah, and I'm not too fussed about the format in which you get them. Sometimes it's a new team agreement that you take on, and it's okay, but you need to get something out of it. If it's a tough discussion, even to make you feel more of a team, right? Culture, the team feeling, all of this is based on behaviors. It's not, and that's why, like I said yesterday, that's why I don't like the word mindset. I like what's below. I like to drill down on mindset because you don't change mindsets and you don't change the team feeling. You change the behaviors that create that feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have some tips to share with us about how to help the team converge on actionable items during a workshop, during a retrospective?
Usually it's about getting to an agreement on what the biggest topic we need to discuss is. And then we move into one of our values, focus. You focus on it, you drill down on it, and you move to the next one if you have the time. Otherwise, you stick to it. And even if the next action item is, let's schedule another meeting just to talk about this, or let's find another way and do some discovery about this topic. That's okay. It means that we need to dive or we want to invest a little bit more in getting information about this. And that's okay. But you cannot throw it away by leaving the room empty handed.
Absolutely. Never leave the room empty handed. Luis, now we turn our attention to the big question, the question that all Scrum Masters ask themselves when they start, and of course, every day after that in their careers. What does success mean for you in your role as a Scrum Master?
That's a very good question. I can't specify the amount of hours I spent reading articles on how to define success for myself when I started this. And the thing is, the answer is terribly simple in my eyes. My success is defined by the team's success. So it's about how the teams are reaching the outcomes. And that's how I define my success. So personally, of course, I use data to measure the success of actions that I can take, that I can drive within the team or the organization. But the team goals are what define the team coaching success. So if I'm a very good coach and I'm implementing, I don't know, because that's what was asked and that was the contract that we had to apply Scrum by the book. But actually, this just made the team miss their deadline. And now all of a sudden they are on fire from management and leadership because of that. We are failing. This is not about agile. We shouldn't do agile by agile. And I think that's what made us lose a bit of the sense of what agility is that agility became a goal, and agility is not a goal. Agility is a way that we believe that helps us get to our goals faster, cheaper, I don't know, more predictable. Okay. But it's a way, it's not a goal by itself. So today, when I'm coaching a team, I define my success by the team's success.
Absolutely. And we've talked about goals. And for those of you wanting to know more about that, you can go back and listen to the Tuesday episode where we talked also about goals and why they matter for teams. But if we define our success as Scrum Masters by helping teams achieve their goals, one of the things that comes to mind is, okay, so how do we get there? Like, what do you do these days to help teams converge on defining a goal? Because as we discussed on Tuesday, sometimes even that's not a given.
That's another point, I believe, which is about the linking the team to the company strategy. And all of these pieces, no matter how you're using, doesn't matter if you're using OKRs, if you're using North Stars, if you're linking them through missions, through value milestones, whatever the framework is. From the moment you define a company strategy to the moment you're defining almost a sprint goal, everything needs to be linked up there. So if you're able to do that, you're probably linking it the right way and you'll be moving it in the right direction, unless the entire organization is moving on the wrong direction. Still, it's the direction that you as a bigger group want to move towards. So the result of this might be a worse outcome, but that's on another level. You need to link your goals up until company strategy. If you're able to do so, you're doing a good job on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, one of the things that many of us struggle with, of course, is to have that ability to link things up to the company strategy. I was just talking to an agile coach who's working with a team that is implementing some security measures within an organization. And I was asking him this question. So, what's the goal of the team? And of course, at the time, the team thought that their goal was just to develop another security measure and deploy it so that people use it. And this is a great example of how very often we lose the link to the company strategy, right? In the end, why are we even doing this work? Why do we even have this team? So when you work with your teams and these days you even lead a team of coaches, Luis, how do you help them understand that it's the goal is never the work, it's maybe the why we do the work or something that is different from the actual task we are working on?
It's about focusing on outcomes instead of outputs, right? And you put them at the end of the scope. So you always, and it's not easy to constantly be thinking about outcome based goals. This is hard. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of mind power for you to take off yourself from the solution and trying to think about the outcome. So one of the things I always try to coach people to do is to be agnostic to solutions and understand, like you said, and very well said, why are we doing this? And sometimes this very simple question helps us get to the outcome. Of course, if we're already thinking about outputs, we probably are already having a solution in mind and will be biased. But this thinking in outcomes is like a muscle that needs to be flexed, and you keep flexing it until you get good at it. And that's the thing. Today, you're bench pressing badly crafted outcome. Tomorrow, it will be a better crafted outcome. And in the end, you'll be thinking outcomes first and solutions later. You need to flex that muscle.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point, right? Like it's a long-term perspective when we talk about outcomes and being goal-driven rather than task-centric. It's about practicing that muscle, flexing it over and over again until it becomes second nature.
Yes, and you need to assume that sometimes you won't get it right. No one ever gets it right all the time. Defining outcomes is hard, and we need to be aware of that. That's why they should be defined first. If you're thinking about outcomes because of this solution, you're already doing it the wrong way. But you better still thinking about an outcome after a solution because, again, you'll be flexing that muscle. Next time, you'll probably be asking yourself about the outcome first and thinking about the solution later. No problem in that.
Absolutely. A great advice. Thank you for that, Luis.
Thank you.
Hey friends, it's Vasco again, now with a bit longer announcement. I'm part of the team that is behind the Global Scrum Master Summit, the conference dedicated to the Scrum Master role. If you're a Scrum Master, the Scrum Master Summit is a place to learn, to share, and of course to meet new friends. We will have lots of live sessions where you can meet and network with other Scrum Masters from the whole globe. So make sure you check it at bit.ly/SM Summit 22. We have several amazing keynotes and 7 tracks that feature people like you and of course thought leaders sharing their insights, their knowledge, and helping you become an awesome Scrum Master. You can check out all of the details of the summit, including the keynotes announced, the track chairs, and much more at bit.ly/SM Summit 22. That's all one word. That's bit.ly/SM SUMMIT and the numeral 22. I'll see you on the conference floor.